Welcome to the Nerd Party.
They can travel anywhere in time and space.
Off we go into time and space!
So all of time and all of space is sitting out there.
Welcome to Time and Space, one married couple's adventure through the Doctor Who universe. I'm Jessica Nunn.
And I'm her timeless companion, Phillip Gilfus.
Hooray!
Now, we've been gone for a little bit, so first of all, April Fools. And
Although I gotta be honest, I'm ready to talk about Star Trek. I'm excited about it. Let's do this.
But we've gotten some Doctor Who things done while we've been off the air, so to speak. We've gotten since it's a new month.
Yes, we got Doctor the Fourth, whatever those are called. Doctor Fourth, yeah, I was right.
Mr. Man, Doctor Books, whatever you want to call it.
Yes, which is very exciting.
Yeah, we got Sarah Jane in Mr. Man form.
Yeah, yes, bless. But I do love Sarah Jane, so that was nice. Mm-hmm.
And I got us, let's be honest, a early anniversary present.
Yes.
We will be going, for those who remember our previous episode we did and had a wonderful guest, Kat, to talk about Gallifrey 1, the Doctor Who fan-run convention in L.A.
And she talked us into it.
Yeah, we got our tickets. They were on
Yay.
sale the other week, and I think they sold out in less than 48 hours. And so we will be going to L.A. In 2019 for Gallifrey 1, so we are looking forward to it. I'm sure we will give us lots of things to talk about for time and space.
Yes, and that'll be our anniversary gift and our Valentine's gift,
That's
I think.
true.
Since that will be the weekend for it. So, yeah, really exciting.
Sure. And any other things we've done in the past couple days or weeks that are Doctor Who related?
Not that I can think of, although it's always happening.
That's true. Now, before we get into this week's episode, some serious business to talk to, but hopefully nothing too serious. But the Nerd Party, of which we are proud members of, has actually been hit with a legal claim, unfortunately. It's one of these things that we wish we could avoid, but it's happened, and they're asking for less than what it would be to go to court. And guess what? The Nerd Party, we're not a business. We don't have insurance. We're just a bunch of geeks talking about geeky things. And the way the Nerd Party was hit with this legal claim, it risks everyone who does podcasts. So if you have a podcast, blog, or website or anything, this is something that unfortunately could happen to you. So what's happened is that the Nerd Party has started a GoFundMe to help fight this. And so if you could go to gofundme.com/thenerdparty, you would be a big help in making sure that we can help the Nerd Party. And all proceeds go towards the legal defense fund. It doesn't go to mine or Jessica's pockets, unfortunately, because we could really use it.
Yeah, maybe we need to start a GoFundMe page, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, later. Yeah, no, but this is all goes towards the legal defense fund for the Nerd Party. And so, please, this is something we could really use help with. If you support Time and Space or any of the podcasts on the Nerd Party, again, it's gofundme.com/thenerdparty. We're using hashtag TNPFight to help spread the word and to fight back. So we would appreciate any help you could give.
Absolutely. And as you say, this could affect anybody. All of us are volunteers. We do this because we enjoy doing it. And we don't want to lose that opportunity over something like this.
That's true.
Right. So, speaking of weddings and anniversaries and things like that, which we have coming right on up, this is the perfect time to talk about episodes with the Doctor and his own marriage, I think. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk this week about his wife, Dr. River Song. So we recently binged all the episodes of Doctor Who featuring Professor Song, but we did it from her perspective. So looking at it and checking to see if the chronology makes sense, or does it all turn into timey-whimey nonsense?
But it was interesting, and I sort of Googled or Wikied it or whatever, as far as what episodes are from River Song's perspective. Because I think that's sort of the challenge, right? That we've been given this character who encounters a Doctor in a different time stream than him. And so, watching episodes, we've seen the Doctor's perspective, theoretically.
Yeah.
Even though there's been some back and forth that way, too. But I wondered, if we saw it from River's perspective, A, does it really make sense? And is there a cohesive story from her perspective? Because that's what we're led to believe. So let's start at the beginning.
It's a very good place to start.
And this is going to be, again, from River's perspective. So that means we have to start actually with Melody.
With her birth, yeah. And these were interesting episodes because grown-up River also appears in a lot of them. And so you have to... And I spent a considerable amount of time with all of them going, okay, well, where are we in the Doctor's time as well? And trying to follow it on both paths. But first, yes, let's talk about A Good Man Goes to War, which is one of my favorite episodes, I think.
Yes. This was interesting. Well, I guess if we really want to start at the beginning, it might be either the Big Bang of the end of season 1 or possibly even the Christmas special with Christmas Carol. But we're not going to go into the very beginning of Melody Pond.
Yeah. Well, the wedding.
Well, yeah, the honeymoon on the TARDIS.
Yes, exactly.
But anyway, yes, with the birth, well, we never per se see the birth, but anyway,
correct, yes.
At least you see baby Melody.
Yes.
And that's when Amy's being held hostage by the Silence, or the church, or whatever you want to call it.
The Church of the Silence.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but like you said, you enjoyed A Good Man Goes to War. Of course, I think there maybe...
I do, yeah.
I don't know, maybe you want to come back to it as adult River. But anyway, this is sort of... Even though we're looking at it from the baby Melody's perspective, and pretty much all we get is that she's born, or, she's being taken care of by Amy and her captors, and that the baby Melody isn't kidnapped again, because it was actually one of the, whatever you call them, plastic.
Clone things,
yeah.
I mean, for me, I think possibly my favorite thing, because in the Doctor's timeline, we've seen River Song many times when we first get A Good Man Goes to War. And so I loved the tie-in. It's clear, and chances are excellent they hadn't thought about it necessarily in advance, but the way Melody Pond became River Song is so beautifully tied together that you do have to wonder if, when she shows up for the very first time with the 10th Doctor. I mean, Amy Pond isn't even considered. She is not a speck in somebody's mind. Or is she?
That's right.
Because this tied in so beautifully. The idea of they don't have ponds, they only have rivers. Their word for melody is song. I mean, that tie-in, I think, is just perfect.
And I also like, and again, this isn't about Melody per se, but it's about her parents, but I thought Rory definitely, he's someone who's going to step up for his wife and his daughter, who hasn't even met yet. And so the first time that he meets her, of course, is he's rescued her, or at least her clone. He doesn't know that. But anyway, and so that's sort of, because, theoretically in the timeline, he never knew about her until it was, later on, that Amy was even pregnant, because she didn't think she was, and then hijinks and kidnapping.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't even know she's pregnant, really, until she's going into labor and disappears. The clone that we have, yeah.
But anyway, so the baby's taken away, and I'm going to fast forward, but you stop me if you need to, Jessica. But so the baby's taken away, and the next time we see young Melody is as a little girl telephoning President Nixon.
As you do.
Yep.
As you do. A little girl known as Jefferson the boy.
That's right.
Yes.
What is it, Jefferson?
Oh, what a lovely Nixon impression you do.
I try.
Or a Nixon impression of a Nixon impression.
Right.
I was going to say it gets a little timey-wimey for me here, but not too terribly bad. Again, these are such interesting episodes. And this happened a lot with some of the River Song episodes, and I quite enjoyed them. This total, you think you've got me, but...
Right.
And we'll talk about it more in Let's Kill Hitler, because I think there are several of those moments there. In this particular one, the Doctor is killed.
Right.
And that's, that happens. And we don't get a whole lot of Melody as a child in this particular one. It comes in the next one.
So what little we know, and again, this is kind of expanding on what we later learn. At the very end of literally the time of the Doctor. Oh, Lord, I'm forgetting Matt's last episode. But anyway, it's not even listed because... But, the whole reason Melody is being kidnapped and trained by the Church of the Science is because of Trenzalore and Christmas, or the town of Christmas, and the appearance of the Time Lords in Gallifrey, and that, they're asking Doctor Who, and if he gives his name, then Gallifrey comes out at the other end, and
Boom.
Every alien race is, I guess, trying to prevent it, and so you have this splinter group from the Church that's trying, which is a little convoluted, maybe too convoluted, perhaps, but anyway, that said, at least that's the logic of the story that we eventually learn.
Yes, and because Melody Pond has some Time Lord DNA mixed in, since she was conceived on the TARDIS...
And has a time head. She is the perfect candidate for them to raise up to assassinate the Doctor. Right. So all we see pretty much in The Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon is just little Melody. I guess she was raised on Earth in that scary orphanage by the guy who got mind zapped all the time.
Yes.
With the silence, and I guess it sort of left to your imagination exactly what happened. She isn't necessarily being brainwashed, but I don't know.
Well, and they also, the little astronaut uniform or the big astronaut uniform or whatever, she's hooked to that. Mm-hmm. So she can't really control it. When she does manage to overcome it and escape, that's what we find out, is that it controls her in some way, which will come back into play later.
Right, and I'm not sure if I think about it too hard, it really makes sense. So, they raised Melody on Earth, which whatever, I guess, around humans, and they're testing the astronaut suit on her, I guess, because it's the time period. It's 1968 at this point, but I guess she breaks out of it and escapes.
And disappears for a while.
She doesn't have very good security, is what I'm saying. They weren't really watching her that hard, apparently.
Yeah. Well, but,
silence.
They think she's a kid, which she is, and they think they've got this astronaut suit under control, and for the most part they do. And
why are they putting her in an astronaut suit, I guess?
Because it controls her.
Oh, okay.
Because then that's what is used, and then that comes back later. We're not going to talk about that.
And then how she knew, or how she appeared, because the suit, was it her or the suit that knew to contact the highest leader of the planet
itself?
But then, so did she appear, or was she raised? That doesn't make sense. If she was already on Earth, why would the suit know? I don't know. It was a lot of.
She was on Earth, so the suit. And she was in America. Right. And so the suit called the president.
Why? Wasn't she in America the whole time? Wasn't she raised in America?
Yes, but this is the point where I guess perhaps these are the first attempts at getting her into the suit.
And the suit just automatically sends a distress signal?
Well, I think she sent the distress signal, and the suit... Called the president for that distress signal. Yeah.
So I said it's a little weird.
It does get a little timey-wimey there.
But at the end of Day of the Moon, we get several months later, after she's escaped. Apparently she's not really fend for herself very well. And I don't know what you'd say the age would be. 7,
8 or 9, I might have said.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So she's walking, I guess, the streets of New York, I think. I don't know. I'm just making that up. Maybe it was D.C. for all I know. I'm sure they showed a skyline, but I was, And so she's in an alleyway, cough, cough, I'm dying. It's all right because I know what to do. And regeneration. And so she regenerates into Mel.
Yes. And so we don't actually see her regenerate into Mel, though.
No, we just see her regenerating.
Right. And so the next time we see her is Let's Kill Hitler. Yes.
And I was also in tweeting about this recently, whether this was kind of I'm trying to remember what they were comparing it to, whether the episode that came before or after. But anyway, they said it's kind of a romp. And I was like, I don't know. I suppose.
A little bit. And again, these are the things, and we're skipping ahead just a little bit, but when Melody's trying to kill the Doctor and he is one step ahead of her, oh, I've got this gun, says Melody. And the Doctor says, but I knew you were going to go for it, and I took the bullets out. And she says, well, what about this gun? And he said, I turned the bowl around, and you're holding a banana. Have a banana. There's your British reference for today. So, yeah, it does get a little rompy. And I do thoroughly enjoy this one, but I find Amy and Rory's childhood friend, Mel, being a little bit shoehorned in.
Yeah, and it was sort of like, why didn't I see you at the wedding? Like, I don't do weddings, and
And then that comes back. That's a callback later.
And they named their child after their child.
Yes, and the idea that they've been friends with this person who is clearly a criminal
Psychopath.
She stole a bus,
Right, and has a gun.
and keeps a gun, and yeah. It's a little bit stretchy. I do like the penny drops, and the coins in the air, and the penny drops. I like that a lot. And she says that she uses that twice.
Yeah, I mean, is that like a common saying?
No,
It's just made up.
no,
Okay.
yeah, I like it.
I didn't know if that was one
Or
of those.
it's not one I've heard.
A Britishism
yeah.
I'm just not aware of.
Yeah.
I mean, a penny.
The penny dropping, yes,
Yeah.
but that moment
Yeah.
before. Oh.
But I thought it was, again, and I'm overanalyzing it, which I don't always do with Doctor Who, but, so little Melody regenerated into little Mel, I guess. And so then how'd she get from America to Britain? But I don't know, whatever, I guess.
Yeah, there has to be some suspension of disbelief there, I guess. And also...
Knew to find her parents, and then
and
what
how
time
did she
period?
How did she go back in time?
Well, she was in 1968. And so she had to wait a while for her parents to get born in late 80s or early 90s.
Yeah, that's all.
Amy and Roy are younger than us, but anyway.
Again, you get a little bit timey-wimey with all of this. But we also needed this episode for the tiny little men in the clones who are out to capture River Song, because they will become important.
Mm-hmm. Well, we get some Mel, of course. Well, yeah, Mel gets shot and regenerates again into
River Song. Except she doesn't. Who's this River?
Right. I guess she still thinks it would. Still think of something with Melly. I thought it was interesting, and she does get. I mean, I thought for. In all of this, Alex Kingston, great job.
I just love her.
But, and again, she plays regeneration great. Like, I don't like it like every doctor would.
Yes.
A little confused, a little on point, a little silly, a little.
She runs to the bathroom to look at her bottom in the mirror, all of those things.
And also doing things, at least from a story or from a writing standpoint of, like, the doctor is always different, but the same. Mm-hmm. But so, is Melody different from Mel, different from, as we will then know, River, but then adding those things we know about River from the very beginning, and, Mel has a bit of the sexiness and hey, boy, which then River does too, but it is interesting.
Yes, but hers is much more sultry and saucy in a way that Mel's isn't.
Is that maybe an age difference from the actors?
Quite possibly, mm-hmm. Yeah. We also get our introduction to the hallucinogenic lipstick.
Yes, which is... I guess I never noticed.
Although in this case it was poison lipstick.
Yeah, I don't think I ever noticed it as much. Maybe I didn't. It's been a while, but I'm like, yep, that's her thing.
That's her thing. Yeah, everybody's got it.
Yeah,
but yeah, she does manage to kill the doctor or start him on a death path.
Right. Now I think this episode, Let's Kill Hitler, of all the River episodes, I think this has to rate in the top 5. Not in what it has to do. Now, whether it does it well or not, that's for us to talk about and you to decide, listeners. But Let's Kill Hitler, I think, had a lot of problems. Not in that it had to show the first meeting. Because we've been led all these episodes with River saying, the man who knows everything about you the first time, and da-da-da-da, and that, this would be the moment where we first see River and the doctor knows her, and how do they fall in love and all this stuff. And so they had to pack all that and do this one episode. And so I think it was a lot. I mean, maybe too much, really, to put on this.
Yeah, although I don't necessarily see it that way. Because, again, the doctor's met her. Mm-hmm. He held her as a baby.
Right.
And so and she...
This is really her first time meeting the doctor.
Well, but as the first Mel.
Right.
As the Mel who pulls the convertible up.
Yeah.
And so it didn't really feel like as big a deal because this is the only time we ever see this regeneration of River Song. It didn't have the gravity that maybe people would want I was okay with it. It didn't feel like this stupendous moment in a way when he first meets her does. Right. But that was okay because she's being psychopath and we know that her job is to kill him and she knows her job is to kill him. And so it's not, even though she's never met him, she knows who he is straight away. She's been waiting for him. Where when he meets her for the first time, he's never heard of her. And
the fact, the psychopath, we're using that loosely, but that's how she self-describes. But, when does that come? Is it just the fact that she's been brainwashed by the church? You know what I'm saying? We actually never see that. Of course, we don't know what happened to young Melody and how she was raised. I'm sure it wasn't great looking at that scary orphanage.
And that guy who can't remember anything.
Yeah. And, was it brainwashed? We don't know. It's up to the viewer to figure out how she was programmed to, you will kill the doctor, you will kill the doctor. And so, but it's interesting to see, at least from Mel, how that fascination of, even though we don't see it till she encounters the doctor for real, is that growing up as Mel, she fancies the doctor, or at least her Annie's story. Mm. And so, but this, this melding those two things that, she's not saying, oh, yes, that's the one I'll kill, but at least this fascination with her subject.
Yes, yeah. And whether or not, interesting as to whether or not she knows as a child.
Mm-hmm. Like the programming hasn't kicked in or something like that.
Or it has. Mm-hmm. And even though she kind of fancies him, she's still going to have to kill him, and she knows all of that, and it's all a little bit... Mm-hmm. structured towards that.
And the fact that, I like the part with Early River, with how she actually kills, quote unquote, kills the doctor with the lipstick. It never was going to be a weapon with you, of course.
Yeah.
Something you would never understand. And so, but it is interesting, of course, to see the dynamics with her. I almost hate to call her River because she hasn't really adopted the name, but I'll call her River. With River, with this early regeneration, it's almost funny, like the doctor, you see her wearing the clothes just like a new doctor would and everything. Mm. But the whole part of her, then being confronted with the dying doctor and with her parents and everything. Because, that's, to me, that's the switch. She has to be, not turn good per se, but at least to be like, oh, wait, I'm in love with him, or I guess she still is, but to see that change in the character and having to make her go from, yeah, I've killed him, to, oh no, I've killed him.
Yeah.
And so, again, I think it's hard. I think they did as well as they could. I don't have a critique about it. Mm-mm. But it's interesting, with him and the tux, and you took time to change while you were dying.
Yes.
And the sonic cane.
Yeah. And he, of course, plays that beautifully. Matt Smith, I think, really, I don't think we talk enough about what an incredible physical actor he is.
And the more
especially as young as he is.
Yeah, I was going to say, the more I watch this, I think, and look, Alex Hinks is not old, but Matt would have been 28, 29, and I don't know how old Alex was at this time. I'll say 40s, and I don't know how old she was. But that, to have that romance, again, depending on who knows who and what scene or what episode, is very believable. You don't even...
Totally works.
Yeah, think about it.
Totally works, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But again, I think Matt has that gift of playing 1,000 years old.
Yeah, he can do that I've got old eyes kind of thing. But physically, what he's doing, sliding all over the place, it's just beautiful. It's a joy to watch. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to see him do comedy, I think. I just think he harkens back to some of the greats of British comedy, and that's a lot of fun to see.
I'm sure there's some biopic of some
British yeah. Especially when you think about the fact that acting hasn't always been his path.
Footballer.
He was gonna be a footballer, and to me, again, having lived in England, having known the people who were footballers, this isn't ever what it seems like such a switch. I have so much difficulty seeing him as a footballer just because it's such a switch. Mm-hmm. Really fun to watch, but we're off topic.
Well, but anyways, with the end of Let's Kill Hitler, we get, now I'm doing from memory here, making sure I get it right here. This is the part where, I know, because when River then gives all of her regeneration energy to cure the doctor who she's killed and saves him, and it's interesting because you have to solve that thing. Like, okay, well, wait, we know she dies. Spoilers, but like, how could she then have the Time Lord? So that's how they solve that, quote unquote. And so she's at the end, but of course, the end of Let's Kill Hitler is when she gets the diary.
Yes.
And the Doctor basically explains the rules.
Yes, which again is going to come into play.
And again, this is their first meeting. I mean, it's it is and it isn't. This is their first real meeting, at least from her perspective, because that's what we're talking about. Hi, here's the rules of how this is going to happen.
Yeah, we got to keep a list, no spoilers, which of course then becomes her catchphrase.
Exactly,
which I love so much.
And so for this next part, this is going to be just River's song in her regular life. So. Closing time, the episode had a short ending scene. Of course, this is kind of a big episode for the Doctor, or at least the theme of it is because he has to finally face his death at Lake Silencio. But anyway, for River, the last scene, we get her just getting her doctorate, becoming Dr. Song in archaeology, and then, I can't remember her name, Madam... whatever. Scary Lady. Madam Scary Lady. Let's call her that. Lady. Yeah, eye patch Scary Lady. Finally shows up with the silence and says, oh, there you are. I guess, she doesn't say this, but I guess she's basically saying, oh, I thought you killed him and saved him, but guess what? Now we're actually the part where you kill him. Yep. So. Let's do this. Throw you in the astronaut costume. Let's do this. Off we pop. And next thing we see her floating in the Lake Silencio. Yeah. Which is interesting because I assumed at least, I don't know if anybody else did, in The Impossible Astronaut, when the Doctor goes to the astronaut and is like, it's okay, I know who you are, da-da-da-da-da. I assumed it was her as a child. All the way through. Both times. This last time when we rewatched it, I was like, oh yeah, that's her as a child. Even though I'd seen this episode already at one point. So... every time I was like, oh, that's her as a child. So her as a grown-up doing it, it's unexpected. And to me, it's early days for River. Now you can argue whether that is or not. But look, she's just got her doctorate. But she's going to kill the Doctor. Like, that's her beginning again, is killing the Doctor, even though she, or at least her second time. Her first time she killed the Doctor, she was, quote unquote, doing it on purpose. But this time she doesn't want to at all, and that's when we get the wedding of River Song. Yes, of when she refuses to kill the Doctor, who again, not that she just met him, but this is only her second time encountering him. We'll say it that way, and she's basically, fully in love and refuses to kill him, and will break all of time and space in order to avoid killing him. And you sort of get that. And I'm not going to skip the whole episode, but you sort of get that scene at the end of where the Doctor's like, all of time and space will collapse. Is that worth more than, your pain? And she's like, no, that's exactly how much it means to me. I am good with that. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And so this is not, no, it is the one, isn't it? Where we figure out how it happened. Is this the one where we get, he was a clone? Oh, no. We don't. What we get is that He marries her, so we get literally the wedding. Whispers something in her ear. Right, and he says, I've told you my name. And then she kisses him, and he dies. These things happen. Right, and I'm trying to remember whether at the end of this scene, or at the end of this episode, is when you get Amy in the backyard mourning the death of the Doctor, and River appears. And says, just kidding. Yes, and then I think maybe that's when she reveals it. It shows how it happened. Right. Because then we get Doctor Who. Doctor Who! Doctor Who! And again, let me just say what a delight it is to see these tiny recurring characters. Dorian. Yes. Like Dorian, coming back. It's just so much fun. And it's fun to see, watching from River's perspective. I mean, not that she ever met, well, she did. But anyway, we see his death, and then we see him not dead, and then we see it, it's going around the timeline. Yeah. Of course, I suppose we see that the other direction as well. But yeah, it's really a lot of fun. So this is sort of the regular life of Dr. River Song, such as it is. Not that she had a regular life, but now we get to sort of more as she experienced the Doctor. So again, she's married him now, and so the next sort of regular one is the Pandorica opens.
I do think we need to talk about, just very briefly, the fact that she goes to prison for killing him.
That's right. To the Storm. I've already forgotten the name of the prison. Storm something.
And
Cage.
that's where she is.
Lives now.
Even up until her first episode, if
Right.
you will, with Tennant, she is...
Storm caged.
She's in prison. Yeah.
So, yes, because I believe Dorian makes that comment at the end of the wedding of River's Song of like, oh, now she's during the day, River's Song is in prison. The doctor says, yes, but the nights belong to us,
Yes, yeah. And prison doesn't seem that bad for River Song because she really does just pop out whenever she fancies it.
So we get the Pandorica opens. I can't remember if it was this. Is the Pandorica opens the one that with the guy with the lipstick in the meadow, and then it reveals he's a prison guard who just got, because I think every episode from now on will start with her escaping.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember if it's that one or if it's the one where it's the new guard and she's leaning in to kiss him, and then the next thing you see, he's pointing his gun, and he's like, she tried to escape, but I didn't let her. I'm not falling for it.
Picture of that she written.
And there's a bad picture, yeah.
But I always like, of course, that then she has to message the doctor. So this is where the Pandorica opens, and I believe this is the one with the oldest carving that exists in the world.
No, I don't think so. I think it's the black box, isn't it?
No. That's going to be with the Weeping Angels. Is the black box.
Okay. All right. Carry on.
So I think this is the one where he's showing Amy and it says, hello, sweetie.
Yes.
And it's the coordinates. Yes, because the coordinates for the Stonehenge.
Ah, yes. And that's the picture that you colored for me that's currently on the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Hello,
I'm very proud
sweetie.
of my work.
Yes.
So it's the Pandorica opens. It's really kind of the first real adventure with married River Song and the doctor. And so, it's always interesting of how she's now encountering the doctor in different times.
Yes, and they're lining things up and figuring out where they are.
And because she's sort of, and that's not, I'm mixing up timelines. So for her, the Pandora Ohms is the first thing. And so it's interesting because I think maybe he makes a reference to something, and she's like, spoilers. Yeah. And so watching it from her perspective is funny, because you do see that the references they have made do make sense for the most part.
And it just baffles. I mean, I've just pictured this room that's like one of those crime scene rooms you have with all the pictures everywhere and the strings attaching to everything. Mm-hmm. That's the only way I can assume that they have done this.
Because I think Amy makes a reference to like the Byzantine or whatever, because that's when she first meets River from her perspective, and River's like, I don't know anything about that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
So spoilers. But anyway, so we get the Pandorica owns the Big Bang. So River plays Cleopatra, some cosplaying on her part.
Yep. No, absolutely.
And
some more of the hallucinogenic lipstick.
Right. And we get her, I guess, being referenced to another death of the Doctor again, but not really. Where he sort of gets Dalek shot and cured. But yeah, I'm trying to remember a lot. Just it's a good episode where she has to sort of, the Doctor sacrifices himself, quote unquote, during the Big Bang because he has to restart the universe.
Yes,
with the Van Gogh painting. Yep,
and again we get this hijinks kind of thing of here I am with the mop. Oh, Rory, I need to give you my...
Timey-whimey, yes.
Yeah, I need to give you my screwdriver. Stick it in her pocket when you're done. And we're switching we're switching people out. And, I've died down here, but nope, I've actually got it sorted. All of those things. It just...
And River shoots his fez.
Yes. Which is
first
not
things
okay.
first. What the hell is on your head?
Yeah.
Fez now.
Fez are cool. I do love Matt Smith. And I do think they are just so, as you say, there is a big age gap, but they play it so beautifully. So beautifully. Because
it's so much of, again, watching it from her perspective now, how much what she's bringing and he's picking up. The Doctor's kind of going with it.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't always know now from now on what's going on.
Yeah.
And so the Big Bang, of course, ends with basically River dropping off the blank diary to her mother on her wedding day, which figure that out.
Yes, yeah.
And so Amy bringing back the Doctor through memory because of how the Doctor did. Anyway, we're talking about River, though.
You are late for my wedding.
But anyway, so that's how sort of River does that. Because I guess the Doctor kind of has to talk to her into letting him leave and get into the Pandorica and all that stuff. So.
Yes, and of course, if she hadn't done that, if the Doctor hadn't appeared at the wedding, then there would have been no honeymoon baby. It seems like River Song has done a lot. I mean, according to Let's Kill Hitler, she was also responsible for getting her parents together in the first place.
That's true.
She had to work hard to make sure she came into existence.
Now, I've parenthetically labeled the Impossible Astronaut Day of the Moon because from River's adult perspective,
yes,
she would have then gotten the invitation to show up to Lake Silencio to see, and I think it's interesting, and this is where plausibility, that she knew that he didn't really die, because she knows now, because from her speech, so she's faking. So when you watch The Impossible Astronaut, River knows he's not dead. River knows everything that's going on, but she has to pretend for Amy's and the Doctor's sake that everything's legit.
All
oh my God,
spoilers.
You killed him.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you were really the Doctor, or so yeah, okay. She sells it really well.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Or was her memory wipe? Was there a thing about memory wipe? No? Okay. Yeah. Maybe I've made that up. All right.
So I jumped. There's some smaller moments of previous episodes where she kind of pops in for a second or two. But anyway.
Let me just ask another question. Sorry. When in her timeline does she go back to A Good Man Goes to War?
I believe it would be during... I would have to look it up. Okay. I don't know. I'll say I don't know. Sorry,
I didn't mean to stump you there.
Yeah, I think I was like, I won't write that down, and now you've called me out in front of God and country, so thank you. Yes,
this #marriage.
That's right.
All right, so let's move on to the angels. This is my least favorite Weeping Angels.
So the Time of the Angels / Flesh and Stone. We do a lot of two-parters with River, it seems. That's not a bad thing. But anyway, and so I think it's interesting. Again, she's in prison, but now if she does a good job, she'll get pardoned from the church. That's why she's with the bishop, and it's intimated. It's very subtle, but when I'm doing the research, it's like, oh, okay. Basically,
you're right. I said earlier that was what happened with David Tennant, but it's not. You're right.
So she's earning her pardon if she helps them out, I guess.
Yes.
Because it also turns out that the person she killed is still alive. So whatever.
Yes, but they can't tell anybody because that's the whole point. He got too big.
That's right. So I don't know. This is her first time that she encounters her mom, who doesn't know who she is at all.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I almost, and it's difficult, obviously, but I felt like there weren't even flickers, and I wanted a couple of flickers.
Right. And, of course, this causes to question, did the writers even know?
Yes, how much had they figured out? But even that, I mean, the idea that they didn't know is kind of terrifyingly brilliant, isn't it?
Because this is technically the first 11 episode with River.
Okay.
So this is the first time the 11th Doctor encounters.
And, yeah, I mean, all of that
in his timeline
boggles my mind. Yeah, that they did know and they've planned this since her first appearance, or they didn't know and they were just making it up, and that's just crazy.
Because they reference the Pandorica in this episode, and the Doctor has no idea what she's talking. He's like, "That's a myth," and she's like, "Spoilers."
Yep. Yeah. I mean, this is shocking. This is Aaron Sorkin kind of writing going on here.
Well, and I do like, the references, because River is always the, what's the word? I don't even know what word I'm looking for. Not cheerleader, but the represent, to anyone else, she has to explain the Doctor. I mean, that's also Amy's job.
Yeah.
Or whatever companion is, because that changes, obviously, in River's timeline. But, the bishop is like, do you trust this man? She's like, with my life. And is this a madman? I trust him with my life.
Yes. Yeah. And she will say that later on as well.
Exactly.
We'll come back to that. But I don't like these angels. I love the Weeping Angels. These, and maybe it's just that it's too much, or maybe it feels too science fiction-y to me, and other times they're more fantasy.
It's not as gothic as they usually are. If I can use that term. They're just hordes of aliens
Yeah.
out to kill.
Yeah, and that feels overwhelming.
They're not being very subtle.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's the thing I don't
They're
like.
kind of being dastardly with Angel Bob making the Doctor angry.
Yeah, that was interesting. So is this the only time we hear the angels speak in all of their stuff?
Unless unless you want to count giggling babies.
Oh yeah, creepy. Creepy.
But yeah,
but we'll come back to that.
Exactly. And so yeah, so it's a nice romp. I'm trying to think of sort of River Doctor moments here. She's having to keep the secret now that the Doctor doesn't know, because we see that now this is the ongoing story, and we're getting near the end, but the ongoing story of hiding who she is, and that she's killed the Doctor, or that she's in prison for killing the Doctor, and she knows he's not dead, so she's at pains to hide that. And again, is this just because the writing doesn't make sense because they didn't know, blah, blah, blah. But we're trying to force it.
But that's a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they make that a thing. Everybody thinks he's dead because otherwise they'd continue trying to kill him. I mean, they've tried to kill him in her stuff with the Impossible Astronaut. They tried to imprison him in Pandorica. So keeping it on the DL as much as possible, if you'll excuse my child hipness, is part of it.
Because that's always the pain that he can't know. I'm trying to make what's the pain. Is it the pain that the Doctor won't love? But she knows that he's... I guess, I don't know. I won't wrap myself too much into that. But that's always what we're led to believe now in all these stories. She can't tell the Doctor who she's in jail for killing. Because that's sort of I think in this episode, trust you, River. Oh, yeah, who are you in jail for? Who are you? Why would I... Actually, I guess that's earlier. That's from the Impossible Astronaut. But anyway, when the Doctor's like, why would I go in this... from this mysterious envelope person who ends up being himself.
Oh, yeah.
He basically accuses her of, why would I ever trust?
Right.
Sorry, I skipped behind from River's perspective.
Behind.
But anyway. But I guess moving on to the Angels Take Manhattan.
Yes.
We start to get to Weeping Angels, I guess, River's thing, I guess.
Yes. So. And these angels I'm cool with, despite...
And I think in this episode, she's out now. She's out of prison, is what I mean. Yes. Because I think
she seems to be traveling some.
And I think she makes the line of, it turns out the person I killed never existed or something.
Yes.
Because I think this is after Clara, from Asylum of Daleks, where Clara wiped the memory banks of the Doctor, or the... You know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
And so, the Doctor doesn't exist or whatever. But anyway, so River's traveling and being her mini Doctor adventures with her time vortex manipulator or whatever.
Yes, yeah. And I want to come back to that. I don't know if I want to come back to it or not, because she's written this book.
Yes.
That they're reading. Yes.
Well, she hasn't
will
written
write
yet. Yes.
in the past this book, which is then published by Amy,
who's living in the past.
Who is living in the past. So the suggestion is that we don't ever see any of it, but River Song still goes and visits her parents.
Ba-ba-boom.
Even though they are no longer in the Doctor's time stream at all.
That's true. Yeah, the Doctor can't visit. Doesn't say anything about
River.
Yeah.
And she must do, because she writes that book and then gets Amy to write the postscript.
Mm-hmm.
So...
yeah.
I kind of like that as an idea, that she still sees her parents.
Right.
Even though we don't and the Doctor doesn't. That's a nice...
And this plays a lot. How much did she know about her parents? Okay. Oi, this is hurting my head. Because in other words, with Amy and Rory sacrificing themselves, Rory doesn't really he does and he doesn't. Anyway, with people sacrificing themselves and basically the Doctor losing Amy and Rory... I think there's a line near the end where, and I can't remember if it's the first time he loses them or this. No, it's at the very, very end when the Doctor has quote unquote lost Amy and Rory. I mean, they're lost in time, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't even think about River. These are your parents. Sorry." And she's like, "Well, whatever." I mean, I don't know if that's just her personality. Remember, even though she's good. I don't know what this. I can't remember the spectrum now. Chaotic good and
yeah.
River's a little bit on this side of the spectrum, not this side.
Yeah, they can't see you. They don't know what she's finding.
But in other words, she's not good, quote unquote. She's a little grayer.
Yes, much grayer.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when she killed all the silence or whatever, and I hope my old fella didn't see that.
You know what I would love to see at some point. and this is skipping way ahead, I would love to see River and Jack. Because they are a lot alike in terms of their time travel ability.
And their attraction to the Doctor.
And their their just attraction, their general sauciness. They are going to flirt with whoever's there.
Mm-hmm. Kill. Anyway.
Or kill whoever's there. And it could go either way. And I love that. So anyway, the angels take Manhattan.
Yeah, and so it's interesting how she... But that's an interesting scene at the end with the Doctor casually saying, well, maybe I can travel with you. And the River's like, sometimes, but... Yeah,
and she also says, maybe one psychopath per TARDIS is quite a plenty.
Yeah, and I like it's interesting how much because we haven't really talked about the nature of their relationship because we're just kind of ramming through it, but, it's a not all the time relationship, and that's just... Even though they're married, at least from her perspective, and maybe his, but anyway, she knows that's the relationship they have. They're not a full-time, a full-time couple. But I guess maybe she kind of knows they're destined to experience each other these ways, and to just, to stay with the Doctor, that's not them.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a certain amount of, isn't that what love is? Being happy being happy with each other in the situation
grow
you're
old
in.
Together.
It doesn't have to be grow old together, because that's not going to happen for them.
Yeah, they grow old separately.
But, being content with the life you have chosen with each other.
And then we get an interesting, as far as chronology, the husbands of River Song.
Yes.
The Christmas special, where she, for the whole episode, doesn't even know she's with the Doctor.
For the majority, well, for some of the episode,
right.
Not the whole episode.
Yeah, a good 3/4, I'd say.
You think?
Yeah, not till the end.
Far?
Yeah, but anyway, and apparently she's married some other people.
These things happen.
Yeah, and so...
Well, no. She married the Diamond.
But what about the other guy? The young guy? That never gets explained.
Yeah, no.
Common law, or she erased his memory. I don't know if that was a joke or not, and I suppose you're supposed to read into it whether it is or not.
Yeah, you get to choose.
And so, but at the end, and I think I read something about Stephen Moffat, how he described this episode. And I assume he wrote it, or otherwise why would he be talking about it, other than he's the head of the whole thing. But anyway, he said, I don't know if this is a fan favorite or not. He said maybe they don't like it. But this is the story of two people who don't know if the other person loves them.
Yeah.
And I think River reminds me of her dad, in that her perspective is, oh, well, clearly I'm the person who, loves you the most. And,
Oh, that is very Rory-like.
But that's fine. I'm along for the ride. And I think, because this is obviously the oldest, quote unquote, the oldest Doctor she's now encountered, who knows everything at this point. Everything. Yeah. And so we see the Doctor, I guess this is the one time we'll see the Doctor with full knowledge of River and how he thinks about it. And so, at the end she's like, look, he's not going to be here. Well, the Doctor would never be here. He doesn't care about me. And then the revelation is that he's standing right beside her.
Yeah.
Hello, sweetie.
Yeah, it's just... And again, this is the only one that we see River and Peter Capaldi.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter Capaldi plays it beautifully. It just works. Yes, I know exactly who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really lovely.
And I think he's the struggle, right? Because how romantic is the Doctor? How much in love with River is the Doctor? Can the Doctor be is that a human emotion or, whatever? And the way the Doctor plays it is like you said, very, he straddles the fence, but I think he does it well. He's not gushy, but he's like, when he tells him, you're not paying attention to the things, the mystery of why they make the song, because every now and then you need the song. When the time is just right. And then she's like, knowing that it's been referenced 100 times before, the Beryllium, I think that was the name of the planet, might be getting it wrong, but that's supposed to be our last night, and he's like, I can't tell, and then she's like, well, how long does one night last? And he's like,
24 years. Oh,
and she's like, I hate you.
I just love it.
No,
and
you
of
don't.
course, we can't bypass this episode without mentioning that we get our first appearance from Nardole,
Yes.
who will, come back as a part-time companion.
Yeah. Part-time companion.
You sing good songs, baby.
Okay, and so let's wrap. I know we're going long, but this is River's song. It's worth it.
Yes.
So death and return is how I've labeled this last part.
Yes.
So we get silence in the library and Forest of the Dead because I can't remember what episode River has stated before. You know, the part that's coming to me is not my death. It's when he doesn't know me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I can't remember if it was Time of the Angels, maybe in Flesh and Stone. I can't remember. There was the one time when the 11th Doctor, where she, was saying goodbye to her in prison, and she's like, "All right, now, time for," he's like, "Time for what?" And it's their kiss, and it's the first time he's ever kissed her, and she's like, "Oh,
crap!"
no.
Was that? Yeah.
And so, but now Silence in the Library and the Forest of the Dead is the Doctor doesn't know her.
Yeah, I don't like these episodes either. These are creepy. These are creepy. I don't like the unknown. I think that bothers me more than anything. And it did take me, again, I have seen these episodes a couple of times before we rewatched them. And then you and I rewatched them, and I was 3/4 of the way through the second one, maybe even further into, before I realized that Dr. Moon, that the little girl keeps talking to, is the moon. I feel a little stupid. But yeah, that took me a while. But anyway.
So now that we've finally traveled, if you will, to this episode, which is the first episode we've ever met River, but there's one more. But anyway, this is the last episode, her alive. Does it make sense? That's my question I'll finally ask. Does it make sense, having watched everything from her perspective, watching Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead, does it make sense?
Yes. Yes, in my mind, 100%. And again, she plays it so beautifully. I mean, this is Alex Kingston's first 2 episodes ever.
Of Doctor Who.
And she plays it with such history.
Mm-hmm.
The realization that he doesn't know who she is just cuts her. And she plays it as if she's been doing it all this time that we've been watching. I just think she does an extraordinary job.
The man with the snap of his fingers.
Yes. Opens. Nobody can open the TARDIS with a snap of the fingers.
You can. So yeah, she sacrifices herself because she doesn't want the Doctor to kill himself, obviously, because I guess she knows he has a timeline. I mean, that's one thing. She has the foreknowledge. Spoilers.
Well, and I think she says that at some point, doesn't she? If you go in there, then I don't get you.
Right. And so, but the Doctor who had given the 12th Doctor had given to the Sonic before, because they had to fix that. So.
And that is just extraordinary, I thought.
And so she has the Sonic that the Doctor gave her, and that saves her.
Because in the Husbands of River song, he makes fun of her because she's got a sonic trowel.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he gifts her with a sonic screwdriver, and so they've built it. It's not like this completely random thing. Mm-hmm. He's already taken the piss out of her for having a sonic trowel. Mm-hmm. So you think, and then you're like, oh my God. Oh my God. She even, it's different. It's not the same as the one in his hand. Mm-hmm. It's got the red buttons or whatever that they my brain explodes. So the Doctor saves her to the hard drive.
Yeah. Then we get the name of the Doctor. Which I think is interesting because I've never thought about it this way, but of course, she's saved to the hard drive, which means the Doctor could visit her, but never does.
Can he, though?
He can do anything, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know.
Because it seems to me
Can he visit the library hard drive? I'm sure, if he wanted to.
Well, but that's not really a time stream, is it? I'm not sure that he can.
Well, I don't know. The library's always there.
The library's always there, but accessing, he couldn't go to the world that the little girl lives in.
I don't know. I mean, he may not be able to go inside it, but he could communicate with it if he wanted to.
Yes, that's true. But in the name of the Doctor, she says something like, "You can see me," and he says, "I always know you're here."
Yeah, well,
something, that little moment of.
Well, yeah, and I think because I want to deal with that in a second, but just the whole episode. I never thought about Name of the Doctor, honestly, because it's like whatever. But like when we do the timeline, she's dead. She's in the library computer at this point, so she's only being beamed in because there's a reference of like, and I'm sure I caught it the first time, but I guess I didn't think about it. If we're like, oh, I'm dead, and Clara's like, what? And he's like, oh, did I not mention that? And of course, but then we get the tombstone because she has to be dead and can't be dead. But just fast forwarding it to the end, of course. When River, who's sort of been haunting, that's not the right word, Clara, and telling her all these things and whispering the Doctor's name to open the door to save everyone and all these things. And at the end, it's revealed the Doctor has seen her the entire time. And again, the emotion of the Doctor, which is rare, but it was too painful. And River's like, I could have taken it. He's like, not you.
Oh, and again, Matt Smith is lovely. I do also want to take 2 seconds and go backwards, back to the silence in the library in the Forest of the Dead, when Donna says to River Song, so if you know the Doctor in the future, why don't you know me?
Yeah.
And that's just... Oh, so sad. And again, Catherine Tate, the look on her face, just, So, yes...
So we've done a lot, and I'm sure we could probably talk another hour here.
We totally could.
But I guess at the end of the day, what do you think of the character of River Song?
Love her. Still think that there's space. We've established that she's saved in the hard drive in some form. Still think there's space for her to make a reappearance.
There's the final remarks, at least from her perspective. One more thing, Doctor. And there's always one more thing with you, River. If Clara's dead, then how can you still see me?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Clara wasn't dead, so there's that.
And of course, there's the fact that they've never explained what happened at the end of this episode. But anyway.
But yeah, and I think it would be fabulous to see River
13
Song with
River.
13. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and see how that rolls out, because that would be really interesting. And I just love River Song, so yes, I'd very much like to see her come back.
Well, we've talked a lot about River. We could talk a lot more, but
we need to move on and talk about not another Doctor marriage, but certainly another Doctor betrothal as we jump into the TARDIS library.
That's right, we're going to be talking about the serial The Aztecs, which first premiered 23 May 1964. Very brief synopsis, thanks to TARDIS.Wikia. The arrival of the TARDIS in 15th century Mexico leads the crew to the doomed Aztec people, a mixture of high culture and brutal savagery. Matters are further complicated when Barbara is mistaken for a god, and the Doctor becomes engaged to be married.
Yes.
So this is actually an interesting serial, I think, for many reasons. I'm sure you think for many reasons, too. Positive and negative.
I have lots to say.
But anyway, concentrating at least what we're going to talk about, and that is the Doctor. Because I was wondering, the classic Doctors, at least this is the stereotype, and, you tell me, listeners, a little more asexual. You don't get a lot of romantic subplots for the classic Doctors. But
as much as we do now.
Yeah. With New Who. But anyway, we do have one. Doctor becomes a little ensorcelled with Cameca, I believe that was her name, in the garden.
Yes, and accidentally betrothed over some cocoa beans.
Exactly. That's hot chocolate, darling. Does it for
look,
me every time.
I was just going to say, that is how I snared you.
Exactly.
With a little bit of hot chocolate, you were mine forever.
Because I think it's interesting that it reminds me a little bit of the original series Star Trek, in that a lot of time, Kirk has a stereotype that he just sleeps with all aliens. And he does, but usually what he does is not that he's Mr. Swagger through space. It's usually he meets an alien woman and it's like, I need to get out of this prison or this situation, and maybe if we know...
I'm going to seduce you to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that does not make it okay, darling.
Well, it doesn't make it okay, but I'm saying he's not like, dating across space. Usually he has on a mission. And I think the Doctor starts off being on a mission, but then he kind of like...
I think he fancies her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's sorry to see that one go.
Mm-hmm. Because this is the the mother or of the guy that built the temple or the former wife or I forget.
No, because she talks about she gives him the thing that belonged to the guy who built the
knows
tomb.
him.
And it seems like they were betrothed or engaged or something, and then he disappeared or died or whatever happened. So I don't think they actually marry.
Yeah, but she has some connection with the temple builder and the temple son and whatever, and so that's why the Doctor's sort of out for her. But I like how sort of the retired gardens where all the old people are just milling about, apparently.
Pretty much.
But
pretty much.
But again, like you said, the Doctor becomes fascinated with her. She's a little bit different. She's actually not the oldest, I suppose. She's a little bit younger. And again, it's interesting to see that age difference in the opposite direction from the Doctor and River, because the Doctor's a little bit older.
Yeah,
both
but
actually
again,
and in appearance.
Yeah, I mean that didn't.
No, but it because again, I buy them both of them. They both play it very well.
Yeah,
Bill and whoever the actress was.
Yeah, we should Wikipedia that. We should not be. I do think it's incredibly important that we mentioned that even though this is in black and white, so you can't tell it as much, brown face is never a good idea. Especially if if you are also going to have all of these indigenous people from Mexico with British accents. Mm-hmm. It is flawed. These are a flawed set of episodes.
Right. I think it's, and I mean, we could talk about the Phillips for another hour, but it's a lot of Prime Directive, and then I think a lot of the, do you interfere? And then I think the Doctor, because this is classic, this is like early, it's like the 4th or 5th, 6th serial of Doctor Who, and he's already saying, he's not saying fixed point in time, he's saying fixed point in time.
Yeah.
Time can't be rewritten.
Some things you can't rewrite. Some things you really can't. And then at the end, when Barbara's like, we didn't change a thing, and he's like, well, you changed that one guy.
Yeah.
And that, you have to live with that.
Mm-hmm. Living in the wilderness now.
Yeah. I also want to say that the fight choreography is shockingly bad in this as well.
I did see their stunt doubles credited.
Bad.
I'm like, really? Wow.
Oh, it was so bad. So bad. But never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, but I do think, with all the problems, because there are problems, but I do think the Aztecs is one of the better serials of the first Doctor. I think he has a lot of good ones, but the ideas.
Yes. A
lot of ideas going on.
Yeah. And I like the fact that he invented the wheel for them, but he did make sure to take it with him.
Yep, the bully.
I looked.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, so that's, like I said, the first Doctor has a little wiliness to him.
Yeah, and he's not the one you'd expect to be the Casanova, but there you go. That's a thing. Bless his heart. Right, so what are we going to talk about next, mister?
Well, next week, of course, we'll be done finishing and celebrating our wedding anniversary, our first wedding anniversary as a couple.
Yay.
And so since we're going to be revisiting where we took our sort of pre-honeymoon to our beach house.
Yep, we're going to the beach, and it's not our beach house. Quit telling people that.
Well, your family's anyway. But I figure since we have a long car ride, we might listen to a Big Finish production.
Ah.
So we've actually listened to our first one a couple days ago, and it was interesting. We won't talk about it now, because we'll save it for later. But the one we're going to be reviewing and talking about was one that was recommended to me when we were in London in the Who shop, and I'm like, I don't know, I've never heard Big Finish. Where should I start? And the lovely proprietor was like, start with this one. And it was during the 50th celebration, and it's called The Light at the End. And it is a Big Finish production featuring Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, and Paul McCann. That is the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Doctors.
That's exciting. Oh, we did, and we didn't talk about the fact that at Trenzalore we see the War Doctor.
Yes.
Which I just love. That was beautiful. Yes. Anyway,
yes.
Doesn't get the title of the Doctor or something like that. Love it.
But so next week we'll be talking about that Big Finish production. So if you have listened to it, let us know, and if you haven't, we'll let you know if it's worth doing.
And if you think you've got some audio episodes that we need to listen to, some of your favorites, let us know. I mean, we've got a 4-hour trip there, 4-hour trip back. Ideally, we'd prefer not to have to speak to each other at all during this.
I'm going to do that during the beach trip. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to at some point. So if you can spare us that agony, we'd appreciate it.
Well, until then, where can people talk to you about their thoughts about River Song?
People can come find me, and please do, at One Phoenix Theater on Twitter.
And folks can talk and about River to me, and Twitter as well, at NC Public Servant. And they can talk about space and somewhat time each and every week here on the Nerd Party Network when I'm talking Star Trek with my two mates, Daniel and Darren, on City Alpha 3.
And also, in the meantime, don't forget to go to the GoFundMe page.
That's right. That's at gofundme.com/the Nerd Party. Well, until next week, darling, you're my favorite wife in all of time and space.
Aw, thank you, baby. I love you.
This is BBC Television.